Hi, Jamie here. I have a story to share, and I'm gonna try to make it quick. I don't want this video to be too long, but I also don't want to leave things out. And so I wanted to preface this video with a couple things. One is that I'm basically Fox Mulder. Like I've always been that person that I was the kid in the library that would research the Bermuda Triangle. I couldn't get enough of that kind of stuff, and so I preface this story with that just so you know a little bit about who I am, how I operate. And for those of you that follow me, please stick with it because you'll get your wow factor on this one for sure. But it is a little detailed. I wanted to go over a couple things that I've been going through over the last couple months. So in September of this year, around September 11th, I had a strong compulsion to start researching 9/11. Um, for those of you that do follow me, I have dreamt about 9/11 in the past. 2 days before the event actually took place, I had a very specific dream about the event. Um, and actually, over the years, whenever I get lucid, I've often asked, show me something important. Show me something important. That was my go-to for a long time. And a number of times, one time in particular, I saw three skyscrapers all on fire with kind of the smoke going that way. And it always reminded me of the Twin Towers with the smoke going that way. But there was three, and so it got me confused, although that makes sense to me now. And so around September 11th of this year, I had a really strong urge to start researching like the old footage, like look at the old footage, look at old news footage of the event, and it's all online. And I spent hours watching it. And at one point, I saw in the comments somebody wrote, "If you think that 9/11 isn't an inside job, if you still think that 9/11 isn't an inside job, then you're an idiot." And it was so matter of fact that I thought, and there's something that I was like, what? Wow, okay. I know there's conspiracies about it, but I had no idea what they were about. But something inside was like, let's look at it. What does that mean? What is it? And so I started researching the conspiracy theories around September 11th. And I went very deep. I have seen every documentary. I've watched every video out there that I know of. I've listened to the flight attendants that have their theories about what's going on. But it coalesced into one moment where I realized that they were right. And for some people, I think they're going to say, like, yeah, of course, Jamie. Like, and for other people, it's going to be like, whoa, this chick's like way off base. But anyways, in my mind, everything clicked and coalesced, and I couldn't believe that they were right. And that information, the idea that there's a group of individuals pulling off kind of these events, was hard. It was a hard thing to think about, and it's a hard thing to realize, and it was very difficult. And what it did was it shoved me into an altered state. Much like the Dolores Cannon information that I talked about way long time ago, that information cracked me open and made me have the vibration state and go out of body for the first time. This information did the same thing. It shoved me into an altered state, and for the better part of 2 days, I could see the world the way it is. And I can only assure you that I'll tell you what I saw. I saw things as they were. I saw that this world is an illusion. And it sounds like things that like people on drugs talk about, but they're right. They're right. And there was a they behind it. So, and I started picking up symbols that I could start seeing the symbols in the world and making them work into information that I would later verify that I simply could not have access to normally. I was picking up and learning things just by looking at things, and it was incredibly intense and really difficult, and I had to remind myself to breathe. At a certain point I thought, am I going crazy? I might be actually losing my mind. but I'm back. I'm fine. So after those 2 days, I thought to myself, well, I started thinking about planned events. And I thought, okay, like planned events, these things are kind of planned in advance. And I had a dream where I was in Las Vegas for a planned event. And me and some other people were going to attend, and 2 days, not even 2 days later, it was the next day that that the shooting in Las Vegas took place, which there's a lot of theories about too. And I thought, well, that's interesting. That's an interesting hit in a way. I'm thinking about planned events. I'm in a planned event in Vegas. And then so when I had that information, when I woke up that morning and heard the news, I instantly thought of that. So I thought I was onto something. And so what I did was I decided to start using my hypnagogic imagery and my trance state to start picking up on when and where the next one might be. And I have a notebook that I started that literally has 7 things in it. And the next one, so I went into my trance state and I said, where will the next planned event be? And I knew I was in a winery in like the central coast of California. And I wrote that down, and I thought to myself, what's going to happen in California? Like, that makes no sense. But it was a couple days later that the fires started in central California. The wine fire, what do they call it? Wine region fires. And there's a conspiracy about that too, about those fires. So that's when I thought, wow, okay, I'm doing good. Okay. So I went back in and I, in trance, asked, when is the next planned event? And in front of me, there was a woman and a man, and they were kind of older, and he took her by the hand, showed her to me, and said, I'd like you to meet your Aunt Somalia. And then she looks at me and she says, did you miss us? And I was lucid and in a trance, so I kept moving, but then I went back, just like I said that we should, and I thought to myself, wait a minute, that's a place. So I came out, I wrote down Somalia, and I went back in and I said, when. And like a brick to the face, I got a jolt, and completely outside of myself, I heard Sunday, 3 p.m. Okay, I wrote it down. And this was like maybe on Thursday. So Sunday rolls around and it's now 3 o'clock, so I open up the news. I went to CNN.com. And on the front page, can't miss it, is this. It's my awful printer, but it says here, Somalia truck bombings. Death toll 358. And then it has this picture. And I'm going to tell you right now, I fell to my knees. I started shaking and crying. I had to remember to breathe, and so I didn't have like a panic attack. I couldn't believe that happened. And you're talking to a girl that's gone out of body. It was very intense. And then it was like, whoa, I did it. I can do it. And so I went back in and got another location and a number. And that one did not come to fruition. This is like this big story that just wah. It did not come true. It didn't happen. And so I'm telling this story for a number of reasons. the biggest one is that when I see people go outside of their box and get uncomfortable, whatever that might mean, because we all have different journeys, and then I see them go back into that box, I get sad. I get sad. I get upset. But when I see people go outside of their box and get scared and vulnerable, and then stay outside of the box, I'm truly inspired, and it's one of my favorite things to see people do. When I was wrong about the fourth location and date, it was a strong impulse for me to just shut down and close up shop and to honestly start dismissing my process, start dismissing my experiences, and to just go swing the pendulum all the way back to, you're just crazy. And that's not the right thing to do. Instead, I'm going to make a video. Instead, I'm going to make myself vulnerable and put myself out there. The other reason I'm making this video, and I know I've gotten wind that there's a couple people that I know in Waking Life that actually watch this. Anyways, you know who you are. Is because there is something taking place with these events. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I don't understand it. But I encourage everyone to question everything that they see. And everything that takes place. So, that is that. I hope that was interesting. I'm sorry it's a little bit longer. Some people have already stopped the video. This is like not their thing. And other people are probably like getting popcorn. Truly one of the most intense experiences of my life over the last couple months. I don't know what it means. I'm so grateful that the fourth thing didn't take place in that big way. I mean, why would anybody want anything like that to happen? But at the same time, I'm like a little shaken and a little disappointed in my process failing me. But I certainly don't want to say that my process is all bad, because it's not true. We need to remember, if we're going to do this kind of work, that we're going to be wrong, and that's okay. I told people about this fourth one too. So I have to kind of swallow that pill that I wasn't right. But that doesn't mean that it's not important, and it's not, we got to go back to that whole it's not black or white thing, you know. It's more of a spectrum, it's more of a process. So anyways, I hope that you enjoyed that. Thanks for listening, and I'll be in touch soon.